How's it going? This is Eli from Urban Zoo for another Ego interview with Sandrina, aka Eclipse, aka most recently Nova Arcadia. How's
Thank
it
you.
going?
Pretty good, thanks, Eli.
I heard you just applied for a grant. No, you just got a grant.
I did get a grant.
Yeah.
It's just being facilitated by the Ihuman Youth Society.
Okay.
So what the grant basically is helping me do is provide some equipment and get some people in a couple of videos that are a little bit about educational things. The first one is about Indigenous food. Second one is about a little bit of like education on the LGBTQ community, and because a lot of people are unsure about certain things, so we're gonna interview a drag queen and interview some people and talk to them about that. And one of my favorite ones is probably gonna be, how to plant seeds, because a lot of people don't know how to sovereignly plant their own food, how to germinate a seed, you know what I mean, the conditions, what's edible in the area that they live, things like that. One of the messages that I'm also going to be delivering in one of the episodes, and it's called CHC, which is Comprehensive Human Communication. Yeah, so a lot of people, it's hard to just kind of watch something, or it's hard to just listen to something. So in the videos, we're going to try to make the experience a little bit more interactive so that, you can see it, read it, hear it, or, just experience it.
It's not just something you consume, it's something you can interact with.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I find that people also, when they interpret things, sometimes if we look at shapes, maybe someone interprets something like a triangle or a circle or a square, and, trying to make what we're, trying to communicate moldable for how they digest that information, and trying to make it sort of like so that all people can really relate in an unbiased way.
That's really cool. So what's it called?
It's called Unconventional.
What's some of the other work you've done through Ihuman?
I ran a program a long time ago, and it was just all about the law of attraction, to be honest, and trying to just feel a better frequency in order to start manifesting the life that you want. Recently, I helped with a videography program, and it was by Tim Folkman. And so he's a really cool guy. He goes in there and helps some of the youth learn to do videography and things like that. And it's just basic stuff that you could teach anyone, how to use a camera, how to properly, the etiquette and the basics. Even if it's a small little amount, it's still this nice platform that people can actually have footing on. So yeah, so just things like that,
And so for people who don't know what the Ihuman space is, what is it?
The Ihuman is a harm reduction safe space for anyone under the age of 25. Trying to make that safe space so that if someone isn't, doesn't have their foot on the pedal, they're not sure where they're going and they're young, that they can come there and make some music, make some art, get involved with videography, even sewing and fashion, just any type of aesthetic art, anything, they want to cater to that. They want to help bring youth in who are facing traumas and get them, away from, drugs and things like that, and not harmful situations. And that doesn't mean anybody who goes there is homeless or does drugs. It just means that there's a spectrum, and anybody who's in these certain harmful situations can wind up anywhere there. 100%. So they're just,
especially when you're so young, it's so easy to get lost and spiral and think, what can I do? And so having a space like that is super important.
Yeah. If someone said, Eli, come and produce music for free, you can make your own music for free.
Yeah.
And you had nothing that was like that, you'd be like, what? I thought I had to pay for studio time. I thought I had to pay for this. So
it creates like a creative space for people who need it.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
It's pretty baller.
How do you think being in Edmonton has influenced your music?
I know a lot of people don't give Edmonton the credit for, its
art scene.
Everything, you know what I mean? But its art scene is like pretty bomb, to be honest. I know that there's better places that a lot of people might want to go, like Vancouver or Toronto, but to be all honest, I think Edmonton is really underrated in that we have some of the best opportunities here. There's actually always been a foot for the Edmonton community in a door. Ever since the beginning, I think the Edmonton Arts Council or whoever it is that are facilitating these, whether it's provincial or federal grants, the thing about it is that Edmonton artists don't always take advantage of those because they don't know how, and they're not associated with the groups who they know would facilitate those, like with Ihuman facilitating my grant for my little videos coming out and stuff like that. So it's all about the power of association. You got to know somebody to know somebody, or you got to get somewhere.
100%.
So
yeah, like even way back in the day when Edmonton was just being founded, there wasn't even enough like space for people to live here, but they already had grants for artists because they're like,
yes,
come make art in our city, make it
Yeah.
cool. Kind of a weird one, but how would you say psychedelics have influenced your music?
but honestly, let's be honest. You know, some drugs have always been decriminalized in an attack on, you know, people of color. Marijuana, psychedelics has been one of those drugs that we know scientifically is like gonna scrub your brain and clean it. You know, it's when you use drugs too often that they're like rewiring you and you're getting in trouble. You know, with psychedelics, I definitely can say, you know, after being to like a music festival, you know, North Country Fair or a Hippie Days is what it was originally called.
Oh, cool.
You know,
My
going
vibe.
to, yeah, going to the vibe of like peace and love, everyone, and, you know, other experiences where music was, you know, even that much better. You know, it's super transcendent, I think, and it connects you to a world that you can't see in this. And it's very indescribable because everything can pull society apart, but music can pull it together.
Wow,
And so,
yeah.
you know, when you're like doing psychedelics in a healthy way, it's really just gonna remove some of that depression, remove some of that weight that society puts on you because you have to wake up and go to work. You have to do this, you have to do that. Society has been formed in this way that is not even natural and, you know, separates us, makes us compete with each other, makes us poorer and poorer as others get richer. The world is getting destroyed. I think that psychedelics and like marijuana have been drugs that have been pushed away and been, you know, persecuted or, you know, have got others in a bad situation because
they open the eyes of
it
the
opens
people.
the eyes of the people and it also helps them see that that it's not about what you see, it's about what you feel. And you know, I'm like, I just watched a movie, I think it was called American Satan, and that's what this character, I think he plays an angel, Gabriel, and that's what he says to, you know, this main artist, you know, that your perception is not reality. And so people will perceive people who use some psychedelics or, you know, that if you are, you know, confident that those drugs can be healthy in some way, that, you know, you're crazy. And it just kind of goes to show that A, you probably have not had a positive experience with it. B, you might not be educated. But C, scientifically, we know the FDA or whoever it is, Big Pharma, is only letting you take the drugs they want you to take. If you knew that mushrooms or psychedelics in a healthy way could take away your depression longevitily, not just by taking this pill every single day, but one dose, or you know what I mean? It's just, we can see that it's really it's a war on the consciousness of humanity. You know, we want to control you. We want to control the way you think. If you start to think outside the box and imagine something, you must be crazy. And so that's why we are so conditioned to follow the rules, not step out of line, because we're just sheeple in an industry line. You know what I mean? And it's not until someone actually expands those thoughts and actually thinks like, whoa, I feel something, then you can say, that must exist. That's the thing too, you know, I find that, you know, people tend to say they've had bad trips on mushrooms, and you know, at that point, you know, maybe they took too much or they were not in a wholesome situation, and that's, you know, that's one of the things that I find some artists might do is they think this acid will fix me from feeling shitty, or this mushroom will fix you, and it's like, no, you don't want to go into it with that energy.
Why you're
you
feeling
want to
shitty.
you want to be with the earth, you know, you want to be in a comfortable place where, you know, that they're going to elevate you. And so, you know, if someone is already fearful and doubtful of something, chances are they're not going to have the best time while they're there. So, and it's all about, like I said, being healthy about it. Of course. You know, I might be a big girl, but maybe just a little bit is good for me. Like, you know what I mean? And you got to be safe and careful and just not become, you know, constantly.
Yeah,
you
it
can't
can't be your life.
Yeah, unless you're trying to fly and levitate, then open your mind. You know, Neo. Just kidding.
That's your prerogative. Well, it's
yeah.
great to talk to you.
Yeah.
This has been another Ego interview with Sandrina, aka Nova Arcadia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ego.